spot him miles away as he's 6'5", 6'2", something above 6'7". Ladies and gentlemen, when we were preparing for this event, something I didn't know, he went from living in a garage and selling one machine his first year. Can anybody relate? To sticking to it, persevering, and now having thousands of distributors around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for 6A5-3, Colten Echave.
How are you guys doing? All right, super excited to be here. I'm honored, humbled, inspired. When I was first getting going, I was always coming to these events, and I remember seeing so many of the people that were on stage, and they inspired me so much. So just thank you all the Dash 3s and above who've been on this stage prior to me, because if it wasn't for you guys, I would never be here. All right, let's get going. You guys ready? You guys ready to make some money? All right, there's the Reds in here. Here we go. All right, so I actually, it's funny because I'm technically a professional speaker now, but when I was growing up, I grew up with a speech impediment. I was slow. My mom had to actually take me to speech therapy, and you couldn't even understand me. So it's really funny, going from where I was to where I am now. So one of the difficulties in my life, my family, I had an amazing family growing up. Everything was like perfect. We had the perfect house, my mom and dad were amazing, and then everything kind of collapsed at 11 years old. Divorce, and it was not an easy divorce, it was an extremely difficult divorce. Restraining orders, step monsters after that were no longer in our life, and it was horrible. Long story short, my mom became a single mom, and she started actually her first network marketing business when I was 11 years old, right? But during this time, I was in a really dark place, as you can tell how I painted my room, right? And then also too, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. Anybody ever do that, hang out with the wrong people? So those people were drug dealers, because I guess in high school, the only people who accepted me were the stoners. So I started, getting into drugs, and it was really difficult because I grew up in a very wealthy area in California, yet I had no money. So I literally sold drugs just to kind of fit in. All my friends are going, to lunch, and I'm like, I don't even have money for clothes. So one of my outlets, though, I grew up close to the beach, and I am tall. So everybody wanted to play beach volleyball with me. I got really good, ended up getting a scholarship to college. I was on the USA team for a little while, and but I still just was in this deep depression. One of my other outlets was I used to throw really big parties in college. I thought this was cool at the time when I was like 20 years old. It's actually a helicopter breaking up a 200-person party that I used to throw. So, and college allowed me to go from the loser, nerd kid with no friends to be the exact opposite of that. So as you can tell, I was the life of the party. I try to throw, have this so much fun, right? And but long story short, I developed a ton of injuries. Living the party life and being a professional athlete is not easy, and I got multiple stress fractures in my ankle, went into a deeper depression. I got 2 viruses that were very severe, and I was about to lose my scholarship to college, and I had no idea what to do. And I stumbled upon Netflix, and I got into eating plant-based. Anybody plant-based in here? Say aye. Right? So thank goodness to that diet, which I stuck to for years, because if it wasn't for that, my viruses would have still been here, all the inflammation, and it basically helped me heal my body and kind of keep going. So, and I became known as Veggie Man, because I used to juice everything. I even juiced that, and I would just drink it. And so when I actually got introduced to Enagic, this is where I was living, in a detached garage that my friend helped me live in, because I was living off of $600 a month, and my rent for this garage was $250. And I don't know if you guys know this, but when you live off of $350 a month and you're 6'7" and you work out 6 days a week, you don't have enough money for food. So I used to steal food Yeah. Yes. And I remember one of like the best blessings I ever had was I actually got caught stealing food at a grocery store. And I was like, this will never, ever happen again. It takes your masculinity away when you get caught stealing like bread, you know? So 1 year before I graduated my university, my mom got really sick. My mom is here, and thank you, Mom. And during this battle with her autoimmune issue, she's trying to figure out her way to heal. Western medicine wasn't helping her. She went to a naturopathic doctor who told her to get a machine. So my mom got a machine and she's having these great results with it. And she's telling me to go to a presentation and learn more about it. And I thought it was a placebo. Anybody thought it was a placebo? Say aye. Anybody thought it was a scam? Say aye. I thought it was both. So my mom was trying to get me to go to a meeting, and I was like, oh, it's a meeting type of thing. Okay. But at the same time, I was so lucky my mom actually paid my cell phone in college, because if it wasn't that, I wouldn't be able to afford one. But that cell phone bill was also a little bit of a curse, because she said that if you don't go to this meeting that's an hour from your house, I'm not paying your cell phone bill. So I went to this meeting, I was in the back in a tank top waiting to go to the beach, and I was just like, why am I watching this? And there was this guy, have you guys ever heard of Daniel DeMacaulay? Yeah, so that was my first meeting. And Daniel is good, man, isn't he good? I was sold. He's like, trend product, nobody owns it, market penetration. I'm just like eating it all up. I'm just like, what? And I just felt like nobody has this, and everybody's got to get it through like me and this team that I'm gonna probably build. Even though the only thing I sold before was like weed, you know? So I called my mom and I was like, Mom lives in Florida, I live in Long Beach, and I'm like, Mom, we're gonna get rich. I just don't have any money to get started. You're giving me my money, like, and you know my bank account. But I was like, wait, I could sell my Xbox, I could sell my guitar. I called like all of my aunts and uncles to borrow upfront birthday money and Christmas money. I got a little side hustle with some personal training, and I was like, I got my machine. I got my Enagic finance down payment, like, let's go, right? So I was like, this could change my life. So I actually bought my machine in 2012, the summer before my last year of college, right? And I remember them saying, you know, whoever gives away the most water makes the most sales. So I grew a beard, and this is me when I got started, right? I gave over probably 2,000 gallons of water. No joke, I'm not exaggerating. For weeks and months, I was giving about maybe 300 to 400 gallons away a week, right? No sales. I even brought over 40 people to a group demo. Even Daniel did it. No sales. Right? But finally, after 7 months, I got my first sale. Right? I bought my machine from my mom, and that was actually my mom's sister. So thank you, Mom, for closing my first sale. I was giving my water to my Aunt Debbie, and my mom's like closed the deal for me. I was like, sweet, right? But it's interesting, because when I was making this presentation, I was going back on Facebook, and I'm like, wait, I'm still posting about Kangen in 2013. I'm like, I still had hope. I'm like, how could I have hope? I had one sale in 7 months, yet I'm still posting about it, right? And I think it's because my upline, who was my mom, she kept going. And you know, within that first year, she hit 4A. And I'm like, man, my mom has such a debilitating autoimmune disease. And if she can do it, and all these other people at this event can do it, like, why can't I do it? I just need to keep going. So, you know, my second sale took me another 5 months. But I'm like, hey, I'm getting better. I went from 7 months to 5, right? Trying to be optimistic. Jim Rome, thank you for making me a little bit positive, right? Okay, and then this is something I changed, right? I graduated college, and I was like, okay, do I become a doctor? I use my degree. Do I apply for medical school? Do I accept these contracts to go play professional volleyball in Europe? Or do I listen to Daniel and just go all in with this business? And obviously you can't go all in with a full commission business when you got 2 sales. So in my head I'm like, why aren't people buying from me? And I was saying, I'm talking to people who aren't interested in health or business. I'm talking to my friends who are going to college. They don't want a business, they want a job. And I'm talking to my friends who eat pizza, right? They don't buy health products. So in my head, I was like, where are healthy people? And I'm like, gyms. And I'm like, what's the most expensive gym I can be a trainer at? I was like, Equinox. So I applied to be a trainer at Equinox just to network. And that's what I did, and that changed everything. I joined a gym, I got a job there, I became a trainer, and I was there all day long every day. I would wake up 4:30 a.m., get there at 5 a.m., and I would leave at 10 p.m., and I would sleep in a trainer's lounge. And I was just the networking guy. Hey, what's up, hey, what's up? And eventually everybody knew me as the guy who loved alkaline water. So, long story short, I didn't want to moved to Irvine. I didn't want to be a trainer. Obviously, it was weird. I was like going from a college athlete on the USA team with a degree in kinesiology to being and working at a job I could have got out of high school. But I did it to build my business. And I know some of you guys build online, but this is a key. All I did all day long for about a year was prospect and talk to prospects from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. all day long. And they weren't just regular prospects, they were hyper qualified prospects. So if you're like, why am I not getting results? Because you're not talking to the people who are qualified to buy this product all day long, right? So that summer I met a kid who was 19 years old and he was crushing this business. He wasn't in my team, and I was like, I have to figure out how to learn from this guy. So what I did, I actually traded Ryan friendship and a social life. Like, as you guys saw, I had a big social life. I was the guy who got invited to every party, every pub crawl, everything. And Ryan, I don't think he even graduated high school. I think he got his GED or something like that. So he was more of an introverted guy, but he was crushing the business. So I would invite him out with all my friends, and I would just be picking his brain the whole time. How are you finding people? How are you presenting? How are you closing? Oh, you use credit cards to close people? I'll be on my phone taking notes. I'm like, how do you follow up? Eventually I figured out his daily method of operation. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna copy that. And then I would text him 5 times a day, 8 times a day, and then I figured out his system. And I'm somebody who can work hard. So once I figured out his system, I got to work. And once I knew all the skills, I got 32 sales in 6 months. Woo! I figured it out. I wasn't listening to sales books. I wasn't listening to marketing books. I wasn't asking basic closing questions. I wasn't keeping a list of my prospects. Basic stuff all you guys probably have training on, but this was news to me, right? And then this was actually my first Enagic event, right? I actually brought 2 people on my team. Justin, are you here? Where are you at? Thank you. Yeah, so there's Justin right there. He was on the first one, 2014, right? Here's my mom. She brought me. I was fired up. I was so excited. This is actually where I met Balaj, right? Thanks, man. This guy inspired me so much. So after this event, I'm like, man, I'm thinking so small. So I got to work, and the last day I clocked in my job, here's my timesheet, was May 2014. And I was like, it was interesting because I actually didn't want to quit my job. My manager forced me to quit. He basically said, you do this water business or you work here full time. I was scared, but that month I actually made more money in my Enagic business than my full-time job, so I had a little bit of faith. So I went everywhere doing water demos. Booth, sign me up. Gym, sign me up. This is me and my mom. We were going everywhere. I even hand-installed machines that were within a 3-hour drive of my house. I can't believe I used to do that. I've never done it anymore. But this is what I had to do in the very beginning, right? And I did 600 in-person demos in other people's living rooms in 12 months. It was insane. I showed 5,000 people an in-person demo in 12 months. I was doing 1 to 3 in-person living room presentations every day. I would do about 60 to 70 every single month, and I got really good. Anytime I worked out, because I was a workout fanatic, I was like, I am not allowed to work out unless I'm working out the prospect, right? And now I started hosting big social events, which is what I knew, but it was all around the water, right? So I'd have everybody at ended up moving to a luxury apartment complex, and we'd have people over at our house, and we just happened to have the Kangen machine out. We just happened to have some cups and tea and drops kind of lied out. Oh yeah, there might be some Enagic checks there. And people are like, what is this? I'm like, oh yeah, what is that? right? So that's how we'd get people, and then we'd get people, and we'd invite those people to our meeting that we started going, right? So once we outgrew my apartment, we started renting out conference rooms every Thursday. They got bigger, and we did that every single month for about 18 months. And I remember, this was the day. I remember one day there was like a buzz in the air. And I remember I didn't come out yet, and I was kind of like peeking behind the curtain like that. I'm like, dang, it's packed. There's maybe like 60, 70 people. And I was just fired up, man. You know, all of us just had this mission, this vision. And then at the end of the night, we closed 18 machine sales, all of my 8 points, that night. I was like, let's go! Right? Fired up. Right? Man, that was fun. And then I'm such a competitive guy, obviously growing up in sports, right? And then I remember it was like me and Balaj back in 2014. I was like, Balaj, and I was like, he was always number one. I'm like, dude, that's like my goal. I just said like, I need to get number one over Balaj. And like, I finally did it 1 month, right? It was so fun. It was friendly competition, right? And that was when I was a 5A, right? And then business became fun. I know in the beginning, guys, it is not fun. You're like giving people water, people are like ghosting you, like emotionally, you're like, ugh. But it became fun. The one in the middle is actually my banker. I used to deposit so many, she's like, what do you do? And then he actually bought a trifecta because of me depositing all my checks. But yeah, I used to go pick up machines, install them, post them, and in 2014, we recruited some social media network marketers. Their company went out of business, and they were like, hey, Colten, you should buy a car. I'm driving this salvage car, not even caring. I'm just like, demos paid the way, I don't care. They're like, you should buy a BMW. I'm like, well, that's weird. And then they're like, hey, we'll take some content of you. I'm like, okay. They're like, hey, they said, open your sunroof and stand up, we'll take a photo. I'm like, this is really awkward. So I'm like that, I ended up posting it. That month, I recruited 8 business builders. I was like, whoa, I need to start listening to people about the results I want, right? 2014, I couldn't figure out a way to grow my business, and I realized that events were the key. But my team, I felt like they needed an extra push, so I ended up renting a party bus. This is actually for the GU event, so thank you to Daphnishes for doing this. And then you actually got me out. Okay, so I'm helping Eli do a conference call, and on the conference call, he calls me out. He's like, how many people you bring into the next event? I'm like, thinking small. And he's like, you're gonna bring like 100. He's like, and you should buy the tickets right now. And I just put on my card like after the call, and I bought way more tickets than I thought. And I'm like, there's no way I can get this many people to the event, right? But I figured out a way. I'm like, if I have a party bus and it's convenient, they will come. So I loaded up the party bus, we mobbed up to LA during LA traffic, and we crushed it, right? Doing a whole bunch of events. After that, I got invited, I get a random phone call, and everybody like knew about this like mysterious like person. Her name was like Cynthia, right? Never saw a photo, because it's like, but I get a phone call once, a random number. I was like, hello? And she has her accent, and I was just like, who is it? She goes, Cynthia. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, yeah, I want to invite you to my house. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was me, Julie, our friend Dylan, and that just like blew our mind once she kind of showed us what was possible with Enagic, right? Still crushing it. Now my teams are top on the leaderboards inside of the company. And for 2 years, I used to drive 3 hours from Irvine to Encino every Tuesday. Just, even if I didn't have prospects, I would just go to be around the people, ask them questions. I remember one of the splurges after making, I called it Monopoly money. And this was the trainings, these are the only trainings I used to ever do. Some of the people that are coming into business now, you guys don't know how good you have it. Like the only trainings that I gave my team was when I was going Facebook Live, which was probably illegal when you're driving, dropping off water to a prospect's house. And I was like, if I can't do it in the 15-minute drive, I'm not doing it. And that's how I trained my team back in 2015. This is my first Zoom call. So as you guys can see, I'm making big income. And I start doing team trainings in 2015. Sometimes people are so focused on team trainings, and they're not focused on their own activity. And I think that's where you have to switch it back. I remember, even though I was a 6A2, I'm thinking, how do I get to -3? This was the genealogy guys back then. You guys know this? Before the back office, they would give you a piece of paper. I go to the Torrance office, they print me out a paper, and this is the best I got my genealogy. So I'm cutting it out and like putting it on my vision board and like how to rank up. I always had supplies for my team. My team would call me like, yo, I need a filter. I had like 5 filters. I had drops, I had everything. They would buy it off me. I had more social events, right? I remember this one. I started having some teams branch out. This was in Louisiana. I flew 4 hours, helped with the presentation, did a USA tour. And then that was fun, the USA tour, right? I'm going from one place to the next place, visiting all my teams in different locations. Started going to outside events. This one was called the 6-Figure Summit. And this was a key I learned the next one. It became the Colten show. And that's not scalable. And I finally figured out after one of the events I went to, I had to get my leaders to speak. I had to get my leaders on stage. Jilly did amazing. We give a round of applause for Jilly. Funny story about Jilly, right, is probably literally at this presentation. I'm going to all my people that are making good income with us, and I'm like, yo, please just, I'm like, hey Josh, hey Dylan, hey Lisana, hey Jilly, at the end, just come up at the very end, you just gotta say your name and, you know, how many sales you made in the last, like, month. And I was like, don't exaggerate, just be honest. And everyone gets up, and I'm like, where's Jilly at? And Jilly used to, like, run and, like, hide in the bathroom or something. I couldn't even find her. She was so nervous about even just sharing 30-second, and now she's on stage just flaunting it with a super extrovert personality. So super proud of you, Julie, for growing. So awesome. So gave my life to Christ in 2016. You know, the drugs and the alcohol, they just got worse. You know, once I started making money in Enagic, I realized there was a hole that nothing else can fill besides Jesus. So this was a pivotal event in my career because I didn't realize I didn't even recruit top people in my team yet. But I built up for this event in 2016 in Enagic, and I had 2 people go to this event. Number one, it was my girlfriend at the time, who was now my wife, Priscilla, right here. I actually asked her if she could be my date for a company event. That's how I got her, yo. Anybody know this guy? Anybody heard this guy before? We'll talk about him a little bit later. All right, and then this was really hard too, because right around this time, even though I'm making sales, I'm not a really good leader. I'm making a ton of mistakes. And I was a 6A5-3 at the time, so I had 3 direct people I personally spawned all hit 6A. All of them quit the business within about a 3-month period. It was like the most difficult, you know, part of my career. I was debating on quitting too. But I just kept going. I think just coming to these events just kept inspiring me to keep going forward. So in 2016, I started my sobriety journey. I'm 6 years sober now. And thank you to all the online communities. You guys inspired me to create our own online systems. So I started creating online systems, webinars, funnels, and all that stuff for our team. So thank you for that. March 2017, my girlfriend joined the business with me. Right? She had a 50% pay cut at her job, and I was like, you gotta do this as a supplement. She agreed. First month, big income her first month, and just kept going ever since, and she's amazing. 2017, I'm like, you know what? Even though those people quit, I'm helping more people rank up to 6A. So Jilly hit 6A right then, Ryan, Michael, and then the team is growing, right? And if you look at guys, like the staple of my career has always been promoting these events and keep growing it every single time, a little bit bigger and bigger. And then this was a big pivotal moment for me too, is creating my own team event. I used to have an add-on event, right? Where I would add on to, like, it would be an event like this. I'm like, you know what? 1 or 2 days, we'll do a team thing. But I was like, you know what? There was a big gap in the Enagic events, and I was like, we gotta do a team event. And I love, thank you. Anybody from Indonesia say aye? Indonesia, say what's up. Okay, thank you, the 5 people in Indonesia. Okay, maybe the translation hasn't got to you yet, but the Indonesian leaders, I think 2 minutes are like, yeah. the Indonesian leaders, you guys inspired me when I hung out with you years ago, because I would see their team events and there would be thousands and thousands of people, and I was like, I need to figure out how to do that. So I was like, you know what? I don't even know where to start. I'm just gonna randomly cold call hotels and book out a conference. I actually lost $30,000 on my first event. So, because I had this limiting belief around not charging for tickets. Then I'm like, you know what? I should break even. So, kept going though. I'm still building new lanes, have new people in San Diego. I'm going down to San Diego all the time. My wife starts public speaking with us. She starts getting up on stage. She's doing amazing. And then obviously, we got married. Beautiful life. Thank you, Priscilla. So one of the big pieces of my career is this guy named Ben, right? Are you there, Ben? Where are you at? So finally got this amazing gym owner, Ben, to start doing demos. In the very beginning, they were small. We would get a lift in, but eventually they got really big. His team helped me rank up, and life gets fun. We had our first Kangen baby in June 2020. Started recognizing more people on our team for ranking up. Some of the people are hitting really big ranks, really big incomes. 2021, bought our first house together. Dream house, right? Thank you, Enagic, for all the blessings. September 2021, we all started donating some wells in Africa, which was a really big thing for us too. Then we got to starting, this was another team event we did. We did now that right around this area, it was right when we started hitting about 500 sales consistently every single month. Now Mr. Oshiro is calling me. He's like, hey, we went from Cynthia to Mr. Oshiro. He's like, hey, you want to get lunch? And I'm like, let's go, right? I've been getting invited now to speak on really big stages around the world. Kangen baby number 2. You guys remember this guy? You guys remember this guy? This guy's name is Giordano, right? He's got to be on stage here very, very soon. And so this guy, when I first met him, broke, Italian guy, immigrant, but I gave him a vision. I was like, you will be the #1 person in Italy. Years later, he is.
Woo!
And this was me and my wife in May. This is at the event that his team put on. Over 700 people in attendance, all on his team.
Wow.
Pit stop in Dubai, that was fun. And right now, actually, Daniel, we're in escrow, right next to you. Yep. So now we're actually getting our second home in a dream neighborhood. We're gonna be neighbors with Daniel. We close in literally a couple days, and this is the basic message of the story, guys. If I can go from living in a garage, stealing food, selling drugs, to where I am now, you can do it too.